Not big on changing the art world. Really, if just like one person could look at any one of my paintings and really be touched by it, that's enough for me.
When did you start making art?
I started when I was about 3 years old. I did a bas relief with some black cord on white paper, and my mom framed it, and we're both pretty proud of that. And I have to credit that for the beginning of my art career.
When did you start making things, I guess, professionally, like getting stuff sold and showing in galleries?
Probably like when I was around 17 years old. Started airbrushing t-shirts and doing graffiti, and I think that was pretty much when my work was really exposed through the 80s with the graffiti. Doing handball courts, murals for nightclubs, you know, the Roxy's in New York City, several others, stuff like that.
So what was some of the subject matter of the murals?
A lot of New York City urban scenes, buildings, brick walls, subway cars, break dancers, all that stuff.
I noticed that your subject matter has changed a lot since then. Do you think you'd ever revisit that stuff in the future, like maybe some more urban scenes or?
I thought about it. It's actually popped in my head within the last month, thinking maybe I could do something incorporating some type of graffiti or concrete into, say, the background of my work, not necessarily focusing on it, but just putting it in the background, little taste and flavor of the 80s.
Can you tell me a little bit about this painting?
Pretty much it's all about we're all the same on the inside. That's what it is. So this one here, she's like in a pretty dark room, and she's putting lipstick on, looking in the mirror, and she's like focused on her outer beauty. That's what pretty much this painting is. I try to again use lines, so you see some of the lighting transfers over into the mirror. She's looking at the mirror, and I have subtle changes, some of these curves. There's a light one right in there from the light being a little stronger, and again using lines and shapes around it. And there's also another room, maybe a green room, a doorway, and it's lit back there somewhere. And you know, she's got her dress on. She's trying to look all nice and pretty on the outside. And, you know, hopefully she's got a nice big heart too in there.
So what inspires you?
Pretty much lines, shapes. It could be an object. It could be a person. It's pretty much like also like if it is a person, the inner beauty, not just the outer.
Right. And if you had to say, what do you think your style of painting would be?
Pretty much, it's not really a style. I take little bits of this and that. I put it together like a chef making a stew. So I guess it'd be stewism.
I also noticed too in some of your paintings you have a lot of squared brush strokes. Can you tell me about that?
Yeah, I really like the look of pixels and the mosaic look in my work. It's pretty timeless. So I try to keep that in the artwork. Not necessarily that I force it, but I really do like the look of it, so I just let it come out.
And it also looks like each stroke has the same amount of paint. And it looks like it also has different colors too.
Yeah, I like to load the brush. I mix a certain color, load the brush, and do one stroke. Mix another color, load the brush, and do another stroke. So I try to keep the colors separate for each brush stroke as much as possible.
So these Stuism paintings, how long do you think they take? How long would one take?
All right. Hey, it depends. You know, it usually take like 3 days to a week. That's about average. I think a cigar a day works about right.
So I guess it depends how many cigars you have.
Yeah, definitely.
All right. So, you know, with your style and techniques and everything, where do you think you fit in the art world?
Pretty much here and now. I try to chronicle my time. You know, just show what's around me. I am thinking about the past also. I do have some biblical paintings in my head that I want to get out. So yeah, other than that, just trying to like show my time and the world around me.
So what do you got coming down the road as far as artwork? Do you have anything coming up? Are you working on any projects or?
I'm working with AP Wine Merchants. They're going to be designing a wine around the painting I'm going to be creating. It's pretty much like if someone were to create a cologne after the name was made. So we're doing it with the artwork. It's going to be a limited run wine. It's going to have 100 bottles. My painting will be the label, and then we're going to have 100 signed prints available with the wine bottle. There are two lines. There's the intern, and there's also the art of. But I'm working with them to make a separate line. So it's going to be continuous. Every year there will be a new limited run with new artwork, a new painting. It's coming out, I think, sometime in December.
All right. What do you think the subject matter is going to be of the label and the prints?
Pretty much something like what you see here behind me. It's going to be a skeleton, definitely. We're feeling that. Something like a skeleton dancing, you know, something along those lines.
What was the first painting you ever sold?
First painting I ever sold, that had to be Assemblyman Dick Godfrey, Assemblyman of New York, Manhattan. He commissioned me to do a painting for his office in the city, and there was like a lot of graffiti, street scene, lampposts, stuff like that.
So what's your ideal working environment? Like if I told you that you could have any space for a studio, what would it be?
I mean, I like it here. I get some good lighting. You know, I got my window comes in. I like to work here in the morning. I mean, as you can see, I think I would like more space. I mean, just area, maybe bigger paintings. I think I'll be able to do some bigger work.
So Dave, I was talking to you downstairs a little bit. You have some nice paintings that you have.
Thank you.
Some stories about. You have the one with the heart on it. Yeah, tell me a little story about that.
Yeah, definitely. That painting came about through a local woman who rode a motorcycle, and I'd see her all the time. And one day I stopped and I said, you know, I paint motorcycles. You know, maybe you want something on your bike. And she said, oh yeah, you know, an angel would be nice. And I said to her, I said, oh, you know, yeah, an angel with some red hair. And she looked at me and she said, what made you say red hair? And I said, oh, you know, that's what I see on your bike. And she said that her sister had passed away and she had red hair. So this woman now, I got her bike painted and I'd see her all the time. She was local again in town, so pretty friendly. And one day I said to her, I'm going to do a painting. So I did this painting of the angel, and I decided to do her holding a little heart in her hand, because that's what I saw. I don't have any other information from this woman. So when I finished the painting and showed it to her, she texted me. She said she was crying, so I felt bad, and I immediately called. And what what happened was she was just crying like tears of joy, really. She said, she asked me if she ever mentioned the heart, and I said, no. She said, why would you paint a heart? And I said, that's what I saw. And she said that when her sister was alive and she was sick in the hospital, they each had these little hearts. And when they'd visit, they'd exchange hearts. And that when her sister passed away, she took her heart and put it in her hand. And they closed the coffin. So that painting is real special to me. I presented it to her. She actually let me keep it. And it's never for sale, ever. It has her information on the back. So if anything ever was to happen to me, it goes to her. Otherwise, it's going to be in my possession for the rest of my life.
What about the cigar series?
Cigar series came about. I love cigars. I've been smoking cigars since I was 17 years old. And, you know, never smoked cigarettes. And just, I don't know, it was just cigars. Guess I was a weird kid. And, you know, smoking cigars at 17 isn't really popular. So I enjoy cigars, a good cigar. And I want to do a show at my friend's cigar lounge. Scott, he had a cigar lounge down in Port Jeff called Smoke Signals. And I wanted to do a show there. He said, yeah, so I did a series of cigar girls. And, you know, they're just lounging out, smoking the cigars. One looks like she might be waiting for somebody. The other one, she kind of is like just hanging out. And then there's one, the blonde one, she almost looks like she's really thinking about something, or in my mind she's waiting a little too long, she might have got stood up or something. That's pretty much what's going on with those paintings.
In one of the paintings, the cigar's not finished. How come?
I found, as I went along and painted them, it wasn't so much about the cigar, but about the subject matter, my model, and you know, how she was there and what she might have been thinking about or waiting for.
I also noticed that that the one that I saw was it looked a little bit more realistic, and the other one had like a heavier indication of brushstroke in the hair. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, that was really when the first appearance of squared brushstrokes came out for me. You see it in the background of that first painting with the dark hair. It's very faint, but there's definitely separated brushstrokes beginning to appear in my work there. As I even went along in the three pieces, you could see how it becomes more prominent as I go along. I just had a feeling for it. I felt it, that it was the right way to go.
So it was almost like an evolution in just the one series.
Yeah, it pretty much happened within just a few months, really.
Do you have the painting of the guy with the guitar? Is there anything special about that painting?
Oh, the guy with the cigar, he's like a little street musician. My dad used to sing. He was in a group, and it was just something I wanted to do with music and jazz. I also like jazz music, so I wanted to get something going, guitar music, so I wanted to get something going with that. So there's like a lamppost in the back there. You can kind of make out. I try to keep my stuff not too descriptive.
And how do you choose your subject matter?
Pretty much can be anything. You know, I could be, again, sitting down having a coffee and just look over at the cigar, my ashtray with the matches and the light hitting it the right way and the right time of day. I could be looking over, it could be a woman having a cup of coffee. So I'm kind of getting at that there might be a coffee series coming up.
What artists inspire you? Are there any particular artists, like contemporary or maybe from the past, that you might, you know, feel like you kind of feed off of, and do you feel are more influential than not, or?
Yeah, absolutely. I I'd say probably Modigliani, Picasso. Those two guys really worked with lines and shapes and forms. And Van Gogh, I really dig his brushstrokes. It's pretty much a lot of classic guys, but then you also look at like some of my contemporaries, like Keith Haring, how his stuff is real readable, and he also worked with a lot of lines. So as far as that, I try to tell a story through my work also. And Basquiat, how his stuff is very raw. I'm thinking of somehow incorporating some oil sticks, which you use a lot of into my work, just to give it a little raw edge. I try to just take little bits, not too much, just enough so that I can make it my own.
Is there one artist that you could think of that maybe you would want to pick their brain and sit down, kind of ask them about your work and see what their take is on it, or?
Yeah, I think that would be Keith. I mean, Keith Haring was like, his stuff just ranged so much. He pretty much painted the history of the world in his lifetime.
What do you think your next painting might be?
I'm really thinking about painting my girl Pitbull. I want to put her in an upright position. She's a little princess, so maybe like a nice flower hat and a sundress or something. And I think that'd be an interesting piece. It'll show also the world like her importance to me in my life.
Do you have your masterpiece done yet, or is it coming in the future?
Not yet. It's coming. Getting close though. I find that I'm really fine-tuning my work. I have peers telling me the same thing, that my work's getting really tight. So it should be coming.
You had to make one painting inspired on a certain product, I guess, or something that that's out there. What would that thing be?
That's easy. That's love. It's gotta be love.
Can you tell me about that painting in the background?
Yeah, this one here is still working on this one. Still white showing. This one's very pixelated. Mosaic pixelated look. I went really deep into it at this time with this painting, and it's a woman laying on a bed sheet and with rose petals falling down her body. And this one's pretty much about love. You asked about love, so this is pretty much about love right here, and beauty and serenity.
You ever see yourself going back into the black chord as maybe another piece you might do in the future? Or?
I never thought of that. I do think about where that little painting is. I'd love to have it. Alright, this one here is graffiti letter K. And this painting, I was asked to do a painting for a graffiti show in New York City. And I think this is the first time I realized that I was painting these squared brushstrokes. The Cigar Girls, it has it in the background and in some of their skin and clothing, but it was more subconscious than even, it was in the background literally. So now here, when I was going to do this graffiti painting for the show, I was thinking of what to do, maybe something different. Graffiti, a lot of it looks the same, not everything. Really good artists out there with graffiti, do not get me wrong. I just wanted to do something that just looked a lot different. So I saw this in my mind, these squares and stuff, and I guess that's when it came out to the forefront. And that's when I really embraced squared brushstrokes. And this is the painting that came out of that transition, that moment where everything came out to the front. Contrary to popular belief, it is not 69. And what it is couple, and this is the person's jawline right here. And this is the head looking down a little bit as this other one is kissing a little, and this is the person's arm up here. So they're very open and giving to the partner. And that's really what it is.